Can you actually make a living selling microgreens? This winter, I started a microgreen business to find out. I had a shelf, some cheap shop lights, and a space at the White Bear Lake Winter Farmers Market. At my first market, I really didn't make that much money, but by my third market, I started to make a tidy profit. Today, we're going to break down my exact costs, what went wrong, and the math behind why I've decided to walk away from it all. My setup is simple. I use a light-duty shelf with 4 tiers. And here's a money-saving tip for you. You almost never need those expensive grow lights. You only need grow lights if you're trying to get your plants to fruit indoors. So, I used the cheapest 4-foot shop lights that I could find. The total investment for the shelf, the lights, and the trays is $156.18. The setup can pump out 12 trays every 10 days, which sounds like a lot until we get into costs. Initially, I wanted to sell the freshest microgreens on planet Earth by selling them alive on this 5x5 grow pad. And it was a good idea, except it ended up being a logistical nightmare. Couldn't fit enough value inside the 5x5 clamshell. And in order to use the pad, the entire thing needed to grow perfectly. For my customers, it ended up being a moral dilemma. They felt guilty throwing away the pad after they harvested the greens from it. And some of them, more than one, even asked if they could eat the pad. So lesson learned. Don't overcomplicate the sell. The people who want to buy microgreens, they'll buy microgreens. For the second market, I switched to a more traditional harvest of the microgreens. And I started 16 trays, 4 times as many trays as I had for the first market. If I was going to have a high failure rate like I did for the first one, I wanted to make sure I had enough greens available to last me through the entire market. And the high failure rate I had. 3 trays of peas were completely unusable, and about another tray's worth of cantaloupe and sunflower shoots were too small to bring along. Fortunately though, the brassicas and the arugulas performed like champs. And I had enough to get through the entire market. Here's how the math breaks down for 1 tray of arugula. The seeds, the grow pad, and the electricity used to grow the tray cost $1.91. From that tray, you're going to get 4 to 5 clamshells worth of arugula. 4 to 5 clamshells cost $1.47. So your total cost per tray is $3.38. With an average yield of 9.5 ounces of arugula for 1 tray, your retail value selling at $4 an ounce is $38. That looks like an 1100% return, right? Wrong. Unfortunately, we need to talk about overhead. The $50 market fee, $64 a month insurance fee, and then your annual business registration with the state of Minnesota, which is $155. So, since I'm only doing 1 market per month, it means I have to sell 4 trays of microgreens just to cover my overhead. Now that number improves if you do more than 1 market per month. As we'll see in a little bit, it's not enough to change the calculus. At the first market, I netted $10.94 from $177 in sales. I sold out too early, and my live plants were just too intimidating for most shoppers. I had grown 4 trays in preparation for this market: radish, arugula, amaranth, and cabbage. But the cabbage didn't grow fast enough, and I only had 3 trays to take with me on that day. For my second market, I thought I had learned some things. I grew a wider variety of microgreens, but I lost 25% of my crop to mold and inexperience. In the end, I only profited $7.26 or $236 in sales. I was moving backwards, but only because I had to throw away 4 trays of the more expensive peas and sunflower shoots. For the third market, I knew what to do. Market 3 was the breakthrough. I stopped guessing. I had taken meticulous notes during the first two markets about what worked, and I followed those notes to a T to solve my yield issues. And at the market, I focused on selling salad mixes to make the microgreens less intimidating to the casual shopper. And things worked really well for me. I profited $157.82 on $369 in sales. That's right. Finally, the microgreens are starting to show green. So why am I quitting? The factor we haven't talked about yet is labor. Market number 3 took me 11 hours to start, grow, harvest, and sell those microgreens. And if you average my time out, it's only $14.34 an hour. If I wanted to make $50,000 a year, I'd have to work 70 hours a week and find over 300 markets to do in a year. Of course, the hourly wage does improve the more markets you do. Unfortunately, it plateaus at about 21 bucks an hour when doing 20 markets per month. But at 20 markets per month, you can earn $55,000 a year while working 51 hours a week. For someone who's dedicated and loves what they do, that could be sustainable, especially if you can improve upon that $369 sales average by building brand loyalty over time. And if you do want to do this full time, don't just do markets. Sell to restaurants. They buy in bulk and they'll save you hours of booth time at farmers markets. Now, they're not going to spend as much as you would make per tray at a farmer's market, but there's something to be said about the reliability and consistency that a restaurant partner would offer. So here's my take. Microgreens are among the easiest ways to get into the world of farming. They're low risk and they're in high demand among health-conscious foodies. But for me, I'm going to save my shelf space for my spring starters and leave the world of commercial growing to those who have the passion and desire to build a successful microgreens business. That's not me. But if it's you, I wish you luck and let me know how it goes.